Hey, what's up everyone, it's KAGE, and welcome to today's video where I rank my top 25 animes. If you haven't seen my previous videos where I rank my top 10 animes, I recommend to go watch them. This will also include my updated top 10 list from those videos. It has now been 4 years since I started watching anime, and I have now watched a total of 33 animes. Since I'm into the top 25 list now, I'm going to try to go through some of these quickly, and talk more about others that I want to talk about more about, because I just don't want to make this like a super long video, so let's go ahead and get right into it. At number 25, I have Ghost Stories. This one was definitely saved by the comedy of the series, but it is very, very close to falling off the list. The story itself was kind of boring, and I would find myself losing interest in it, but the series was absolutely hilarious. There were so many moments in this show that had me dying. I mean, if it wasn't for the comedy of the show, I wouldn't have really liked it at all, but this is probably one of the funniest animes that I've seen. At number 24, I have Death Parade. This is a very interesting series to me, and the premise is really cool. If you don't already know, it talked about the underworld, and it would be like somebody would die, and then they would have to like play these games to determine where to put them or something. So the concept is really unique, and I really like the concept of it. But I felt like it could have been a little bit better because as it kind of went on, I kind of started losing interest in it. But I still really enjoyed it, and I thought the concept was really cool. At number 23, I have High School of the Dead. I really like the zombie apocalypse genre, and this series interested me because of that. I thought it was good, but it could have been better. If you don't already know, this series was absolutely loaded with a ton of fan service. I mean, it isn't necessarily a bad thing, but this series was way over the top with it, and it kind of ruined the atmosphere of like trying to survive in a zombie apocalypse. I think the series would have been much better if it was a little darker and more serious. However, I still really enjoyed it enough to put it at number 23. At number 22, I have Death Note. I was absolutely hooked at the beginning of the series, and I did not want to stop watching it. I absolutely loved the interactions between L and Light, and the kind of back and forth with their big brains going at it. I thought that was really, really cool. And the story was really different. I mean, you find a notebook that you can write somebody's name in it, and they die, and then you can also say, like, how they're gonna die and when they're gonna die, stuff like that. I found that was really interesting. But about halfway through the series, I don't want to say what happened, but something happened, and this series dropped off hard for me. I went from really enjoying every episode to struggling to finish the series. But the beginning was fantastic, and I still remember how hooked I was when I watched it, so that's why it's at number 22. At number 21, I have Devilman Crybaby. This was a short series, but it was very entertaining. The story was pretty cool, and the character design was very cool. Especially the transformation with Akira. I think the character design was very, very cool in the series. The ending was kind of strange to me, but overall, I enjoyed the series. At number 20, I have Afro Samurai. I really like the art style of the series, and I think the main character is really cool. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I plan on watching it soon. At number 19, I have Boruto. I'm on episode 232, and I was caught up, but what I do when I watch anime that is like long and ongoing, I'll get caught up to the series, and then I'll start watching something else. I'll wait till they have more episodes out, and then watch them back to back, so that way I don't have to wait every week for an episode to come out. Now, usually I'm better at not getting that far behind in the series, but there's been some other stuff that I wanted to watch, and I kept kind of putting Boruto off, but I will get caught back up on it sometime soon. Now, I know this series gets a lot of hate, but there were parts of it to me that were fantastic. Like the Chunin exam arc and the Kawaki arc. Some of those fights in that arc had me so hyped up, and it was awesome. But it's very, very up and down to me. There are times when the series has me super hyped and excited for the next episode, and there's other times when it's like hot garbage, and I'm struggling to finish episodes and get through an arc. But the highs are good enough to be at number 19, and I've heard that the time skip is coming up soon, and it should get much better, but I'm not getting my hopes completely up. At number 18, I have Dragon Ball. This was very hard for me to determine where the series should be at, because I haven't watched a whole lot of Dragon Ball. I watched Dragon Ball Z as a kid, and I watched all the way to the Frieza arc, and about 2 years ago, I started rewatching Dragon Ball Z, and I watched like about the first 50 episodes, and then I got sidetracked. But I have also seen a lot of Dragon Ball movies and played most of the Dragon Ball games, and they've all been really, really good. And actually, at the time of recording this, I have started Dragon Ball, and I'm going to watch Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and Dragon Ball Super. So it's going to be a while before I watch all of them, but I'm starting now, and I'm going to watch it from start to finish all the way through. So I'm very excited to watch it. But it's still at number 18 right now because from what I've seen of it, I've really enjoyed it. With the stuff that I've seen in Dragon Ball Z, it's been great. I love the characters, and I know about the characters. Goku's. I really like Goku, Vegeta, Broly. The fights are fantastic, and I'm really excited to watch this full series. And I'm sure this series will quickly rise on my list, and I will not be surprised if it is on my top 10 list next year. At number 17, I have Seven Deadly Sins. I think the series gets a lot of hate. I understand some of it, but I still really enjoyed the series. I really like the story and the world of the Seven Deadly Sins. I thought the world was really unique. My only complaint is the ending. I liked the way it ended, but it felt really rushed to me. Like I remember watching the last series and going, "Is this the end? This does not seem like the end." It seemed like so many things happened at once, and they just like crammed it all in there. So it might be better in the manga, which I want to eventually collect, but that's still going to be a long ways away because there's a lot of other series I'm trying to finish first. I really enjoyed a lot of the characters and they kind of stuck with me, so that's kind of why I like Seven Deadly Sins. At number 16, I have Spy Family. This was a really fun watch for me. The story is enjoyable and it's a very wholesome anime. I actually didn't think I would like it as much as I do. I remember my cousin wanted me to start it and I was like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to start it yet because I have some other stuff that I want to finish first. But then, so we started it and I was like, dang, this is actually really good. And then I've finished the first season and then I watched the second season. So far I'm really liking it. I'm really looking forward to seeing more. At number 15, I have Erased. I think the story of Erased was very interesting. It was very unique, entertaining. It had me hooked the whole time, and I was really curious to see what was going to happen next. And I really don't have a lot of complaints for this series. It was overall it was really good. At number 14, I have Tokyo Ghoul. I feel like this is another series that gets a lot of hate also. I understand why, but I still love this series. When I watched it, I watched season 1 and 2 first, then I read the manga for season 3, and then I watched season 3. But I really liked the series. I felt that the characters were really unique and interesting, and to have some of the fights in it were really cool too. And the character designs was really cool. I feel like a lot of people hate on this series because it doesn't adapt the manga as well, but I think it's still a really good series, and I really enjoyed it. At number 13, I have My Hero Academia. I'm currently finished with season 5. I feel like this series keeps dropping for me though the more I watch it. Now, I wasn't that big of a fan of season 5, but maybe I'll like season 6 more, which I'm planning to watch soon. There's a lot of stuff I'm planning to watch soon. I'm just really far behind. But this series is still really high on my list because there's some great moments that stick with me. Like the fight between All Might and Nobu. Sometimes I'll still go back on YouTube and watch that fight again. That fight was really good. And I really like the side characters like Todoroki and Bakugo, but Deku still gets on my nerves, which is probably another reason why I don't like it as much as other things, because the main character, I just find that he's annoying. And I've seen a whole bunch of stuff when he's, like, I don't know if he turns evil or something, but he changes, and people were saying that was really good, so hopefully I like him more when he does that, but right now, I'm not that big of a fan of him. At number 12, I have One Punch Man. It dropped from number 10 last year to number 12 this year, but I've still really, really enjoyed the series. There were some great fights in this series and some very funny moments. Garo is still one of my favorite anime characters, and I still go back and rewatch some of the fights, especially the fight with Garo against multiple heroes, and then Genos shows up, and then he fights Genos. That whole fight sequence was awesome. I still go back and watch that all the time. In the past year, I read the One Punch Man manga and I got caught up with it, and I really loved it. The art in that manga was great, but I won't talk about that a whole lot until I make my top 10 manga video. But yeah, the manga series is fantastic, and I cannot wait for season 3 of the anime to come out. I've still heard that it was coming out, and I'm very excited for it. At number 11, I have Attack on Titan. This series dropped from number 9 last year to number 11 this year, which knocked out of my top 10. I'm caught up on this series, and I'm still not a big fan of the final season. I still really like seasons 1 through 3 much better, and that's why the series is still high on my list. Especially the fights in those seasons, they were so great. Like the fights with Aaron versus Reiner and Levi versus the Beast Titan, those fights were fantastic. But I'm just not that big of a fan of the final season, so that's kind of why it keeps dropping on my list. And the more I watch, the more I'm just like, But seasons 1 through 3 is awesome. At number 10, I have Parasite the Maxim. This dropped from number 8 last year to number 10 this year. The story is very unique and different, and when I think about the series, I remember the story and the characters. I also think Shinichi was a really good main character, and the relationship with Migi that he had was pretty cool. And the way the fights were, they were still good, but they were very different in the way they fought, which was cool. I haven't really seen anything like that before, so I really enjoyed the series. At number 9, I have Initial D. It dropped from number 7 last year to number 9 this year. I still really love this series, especially with my love of cars. Now, when I play racing games, I will build some cars from Initial D, and I still want to watch some other car animes, but I don't know how they're going to rate compared to Initial D, because Initial D was fantastic. I mean, everything from like the characters, the story, and the cars, it was really good and simple. I think it kind of represented the car community well. I can't say the Japanese car community, because I've been to Japan. For my love of cars, I really appreciated the series to not like Fast and Furious it and have these people saving the world and going to space. Just getting ridiculous. The story was just racers racing cars. That's all it was, and that's all I wanted. So that's why I still really love this series. At number 8, I have Vinland Saga. This actually wasn't on my top 10 last year, even though I watched it. But every time I would think about it and I would think about my list, I would remember how good it was, and I'd be like, man, I think this series should be higher. So finally, I put it on my list at number 8, and I like it where it's at right now. And I started season 2, but I watched like the first 5 episodes, and then I kind of stopped watching it because I'm like, I'm gonna wait till all of season 2 is out, and then I was going to go back and then I was gonna go and finish season 2 all the way through, so I don't have to wait every week for another episode. But so far, what I've seen for season 2 was really good, and I'm excited to finish it. And of course, season 1 was still really fantastic. I'm also caught up with the manga, and it's one of my favorite manga series right now. And the current arc in the manga has been my favorite so far. At number 7, I have Violet Evergarden. This dropped from number 6 last year to number 7 this year. I still really enjoy this series, and I've seen all the movies that are also associated with this series. I really enjoy the stories in the show and the bigger overall story with with Violet, the main character. I just thought it was really great overall. At number 6, I have Demon Slayer. This dropped from number 4 last year to number 6 this year. I finished everything up until the Hidden Swordsmith Village, and for this one as well, I'm waiting for the season to be finished before I watch it, but I'm really excited to see it. And I think the series is great, and the fights are awesome. I think I said this in the previous years. This has been on my top 10 list. Is that I always really like the vibrant colors when they're fighting, and how bright the series is, and the colors of it. That's always kind of makes it stand out to me. At number 5, I have Jujutsu Kaisen. I still haven't seen the movie yet, but I am very excited for season 2 to come out. I decided to bump it ahead of Demon Slayer because every time I would think about my list, I started to lean towards liking Jujutsu Kaisen more. I just felt like I liked the characters in Jujutsu Kaisen more, and the fights were also really fantastic as well. And I also really enjoyed the story of what's going on. At number 4, I have Black Clover. I watched this series after I got caught up with the manga, and just like the manga, it was amazing. I think the beginning was slow, and it seemed like the animation wasn't great, which, I mean, could have just been me, but it just seemed like it wasn't that good. But as the series continued, it got better and better and better. I think it really has a great cast of characters and a really enjoyable story. I also think that the world is unique. It's pretty cool to where like everybody can use magic, but most of the people don't have powerful magic, so they're like farmers and like merchants and stuff. So and it's kind of like almost like medievalish, I would say. So like medievalish plus magic. This is a really good combination. And I think Asta is a great main character, but my favorite character's got to be Captain Yami. I know that they're taking a break from the anime for a while so the manga can get caught up. I think that is a great decision, and I can't wait for it to come back. And I've also seen that there's a movie coming out soon that I'm looking forward to. At number 3, I have Bleach. I've watched part 1 of the Thousand Year Blood War arc, and it was insanely good, especially the animation. There was a big improvement in the Blood War arc, and I'm going to attempt to say this name. Yohabaha is so far a great villain, and there's been some really interesting stuff that we're learning about Ichigo, which also continues to improve his character, even though it's already a great character already. And I'm really excited to see more of the arc. I've also recently finished collecting the manga and started reading it. So far, it's been excellent, just like the anime. At number 2, I have Naruto. This actually dropped from my top spot last year. Naruto is still fantastic, and it is still the anime that got me hooked onto anime and made me want to start watching a bunch of other series, and for that it will always be special to me. Unfortunately, it still dropped a spot, which I mean, it's still fantastic, and I have no complaints about the series. I still really, really, really love this series. At number 1, my favorite anime is One Piece. Last year, when I made my top 10 list, I was around episode 500 and said it had a good chance to surpass Naruto, and it did. I am now caught up with One Piece, and it was insanely good. I have no complaints about this series. I enjoy all the stuff pre-time skip and post-time skip. It continues to have fantastic arcs, and it continues to build on the main characters and the Straw Hat crew. I hear people complain a lot about how long it is, but I think that being long is what helps it be great. The good thing about it being so long is that they have a lot more time to build on characters' backstories for more character depth. Of course, they do it for the Straw Hat crew, but they also do it for the side characters and the villains, and some of the villain side characters. And I just feel like other series that aren't this long don't get to do that, and so that's one of the things that kind of propels it for me. And the characters is a big reason why I really like this series. There are so many great characters in this series. There's so many great villains in this series. It's like the overall character cast is just fantastic. The Wano arc has been amazing, but I've heard people say that it's close to being done, and I've heard that once the Wano arc is done, the final phase will begin. But I haven't heard how long that's going to be. It could still be years before the final phase is complete. But regardless of how much is left, I will continue to love this series. Also, on a side note, I have a new addiction brewing with the One Piece card game. I finally ordered some starter decks that I found on TCG Player at a reasonable price, and I can't wait for them to come in. I played the card game on the tutorial app and the free simulator online. So far, I've been really liking it. But I like playing card games more in person, so I'm very excited to get my cards. But yeah, One Piece is a series, fantastic. I don't think anything's going to surpass it, which I could be wrong. It's still open, but it's going to be very, very, very hard to. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what your top 10 or top 25 anime list looks like. And if you know any series that I might like, feel free to let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to y'all later.
Perfect.